Hello everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to draft your wrap top as well as a bishop or a bell sleeve. Here is my full scale pattern. I've already made my shoulder to my hip line. Depending on how long you want your wrap top to be, yours can be a crop top so it ends at the waist, or you can want a full top, the one that will end on your hip line. Whichever one is comfortable for you, it is fine. So what you're going to do is to determine how deep you want your neckline to be. So for me, I'll be using my armhole. My armhole line is perfect for me. Please be careful when you're measuring this area, because the lower you go, the more open your wrap top is going to be. At your waist, you're going to mark your nipple to nipple measurement from your center line, plus about 1 or 2 inches. I'm going to measure that. Then what you're going to do is, on your neckline, you're going to determine how wide you want your neckline to also be. So my basic neckline here, I have 3 by 3 inches. So I can go in by half an inch. So it means my neckline width I am working with is 3.5 inches. So you're going to connect this point to your neck depth up to this point. You are going to use a curve ruler. So from here, I'm going to connect my dash lines. Can you see? I can turn this the other way. You have something like this. So if you're working with a crop top, what you need is this area. You're going to cut this part out, and you're also going to cut this part out. But if you're working with a top, what you just need to do is to extend this line. And then you have your top. So if it's a crop top, from here to here is what you need. But if you want a full top, then you can make do with this area. So in order to avoid gaping around this neckline, we're going to tighten it. And what you can do is you find the midpoint between your shoulder and your waistline. So I'm going to measure that. Mine is about 18.25, so I'm going to mark my midpoint. This is where my midpoint is. So we need to make a dart around here. And how I'm going to go about that is to mark my bust dart, because I need to be able to close this dart here. And my side dart is somewhere here. So I'm gonna have to draw out my side dart. Then I'm going to connect this point to this piece like so. Then I'll mark 0.5 on both sides of my dart. Then I'll connect that to this point. Then I'll cut out this area, but I'll not cut on this line yet, because I'm going to have some unevenness when I close this dart. So I'll leave some space. Then I'm going to slash this line open. Then I can close my dart. You can either tape this down or hold it with a pin. Then you can place a paper here and redraw your new side dart. Then you can proceed to redraw your new side dart and add all the allowances necessary. You add your sewing allowance around here, 0.5 or 1 inch, whatever you are comfortable with, and you are done with that. Something I like to mention is that when you are cutting your wrap top, you know that most times when we are cutting your basic tops, or most times when you are cutting your tops, you fold your fabric in twos like this, then you cut. If you don't have a lot of fabric and you're using another maybe lining for the inside of your top, what I advise is you cut each piece one by one, because if you cut it like this, you are going to have 2 right or 2 left. I don't know if I can explain it, but when you want to cut it, you cut it one by one. Let me show you how you are going to do that. You see, this is right side facing up. You put your pattern here and then cut it out. Then when you are done cutting out, you are going to turn your fabric the other way. You know, the first one I cut is right side facing up. This is now the wrong side facing up. Then you go ahead and put your pattern on it and cut. If you don't do it this way, you have 2 rights of your fabric. If you have made any mistake like this before, you understand what I'm saying. But you cut each piece one by one. You won't cut it together. You cut the first one right side facing up and the second one wrong side of your fabric facing up. If your fabric is a lot, what you can do is you can fold your fabric in two like you normally do. So this wrong side facing up, you can cut together like this, and when you are done, you turn your fabric right side facing up and you cut. What this does is you are using this same fabric to line your outfit, and that will give you like a nicer finish because it's wrap. So if anybody gets to see the other side of your top, it is going to be this same fabric. Do you understand? Except for that, but if you don't have enough fabric, I advise that you cut each piece one by one. I sincerely hope you get that. So to cut the sleeve, you will need your front and your back pattern. Here is mine because we are going to measure round the armhole. Mind you, you are going to measure from your actual armhole, not your sewing allowance. So you are going to measure the front and the back, and that is what I am doing here. After measuring my front and my back, I add 16.25 inches. So we are going to note that down. Here is my pattern paper. I am going to use this to construct my basic armhole. And the first thing I'm going to do is to determine my biceps. And your biceps is going to be the addition of your front and your back armhole divided by 2 minus 1. In my situation, for example, my front and my back armhole is 16 inches. So 16 inches divided by 2 is 8 inches. I'm going to subtract 1 from that 8 inches, and that would leave me at 7 inches. The next thing I'm doing is to mark my cap height. I'm using 4 inches for my cap height. You can use between 4 inches and 5 inches. Because I am making a puff sleeve, I'm not going through the process of making a standard sleeve pattern. So you can use 4 to 5 inches for any adult and it will be fine. The next thing I'm trying to mark is my sleeve length. So we can use any sleeve length you are comfortable with. For me, I am using 7 inches and I'm making a straight line on that point. Now it is time to use our biceps measurements. Whatever yours is, you go ahead and mark that on the cap height line. So you connect that point to your starting line like I'm doing. The next thing you're going to do is to measure that line we just made. In my case, it is 8 inches, and you're going to divide yours into 4. So 8 divided by 4 is 2 inches. So you're going to mark 3 different points, each measuring 2 inches. So on that point, the center of your sleeve, you are going to mark upwards 0.5 inches. On your first mark there, you are going to mark another 0.5 inches. For that point, you are going to leave that, then you jump right to the last point and you're going to mark downwards 0.5 inches. And with your curved ruler, you are going to connect all these points as you see me do. You might also have some pointed corners. Just try and blend those in. The next thing you're going to measure will be your sleeve circumference, but I advise that whatever that is for you, add a little ease to it, about 0.5 or 1 inches, because it is a puff sleeve and you need to gather around your basic sleeve, so you need a little allowance around that area. What I'm trying to do here is to measure the armhole I have on my sleeve pattern, just so I am sure it is not too small or not too big. My own is about 0.5 inch longer, so I'm going to mark that point, then mark my allowance from there. So I'll mark my 1 inch sleeve allowance from that point I just marked. So then after this, I'm going to add my sewing allowance to the sleeve length also and connect those 2 points together. I have gone ahead to clean out the unwanted area around my armhole so you can see what my sleeve looks like. Then I'm going ahead to add my sewing allowance. I am done adding my allowances here, then I'm cutting out my sleeve pattern. You are going to fold your fabric on bias. I've folded mine already. Then you put your basic sleeve on it like this, ensuring that this point and this point touches the edge of your fabric. This, however, applies to situations where the armhole of your sleeve is exactly the same as the armhole of your top. If you want a puff sleeve where you also gather around your armhole, you place your sleeve pattern in such a way that there will be excess on the side and also at the center of your sleeve like mine. Then you redraw your armhole. I hope you get that. The next thing to do now is to measure the length of your top. We are going to start from here. See, so this is 7 inches. From here to this point for me 7 inches. So what you're going to do is not to add 7 inches, whatever the distance between here and here for you, you're going to add that to your full length. So for example, if my full length is 20 inches plus this 7, that'll be 27. I'm doing that so that I'm able to measure my full length properly. So I start marking 27 inches. Make sure you keep your tape still here. I mark down till we get to the end. You can decide to just connect everything together like this. So by the time you cut this out, you're going from here to here will be the full length of your sleeve. So you can decide to add elastic to the hem of your sleeve so it can gather everything together and you have your sleeve. If your material is not a lot, you can also go about it this way. You fold your fabric straight like this. I can put your sleeve here. So if your sleeve is 20 inches, for example, then from here you're going to measure your 20 inches. If your pattern already has sewing allowance, you know you add your 1 inch, your 0.5 sewing allowance when you're adding your, so for example, my sleeve length is 20 inches. You're going to add your 0.5 sewing allowance. So it means you're going to mark 20.5. And remember that you need sewing allowance at the base, so you can add extra 1 inch. So that will make everything to be 21.5 inches, whatever it is. Just what I am trying to say is that remember to add all your sewing allowances. Then you can draw a straight line. After adding your sewing allowance, then you can now draw your line like this. You see, this way you've also achieved that bell sleeve. It's just that it won't be as big as the other one. One thing you also do is here you come up by 2 inches or 1 inch and make a curve. It will make your sleeve look better. See, then you're going to cut out like this and also add your elastic to gather this place around to give you like a fitted fit around the wrist. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. Remember to like, share this video with your friends, subscribe to this channel. You can turn on your notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.